let me ask you, Scott. I've seen plenty of. I mean, you were asking about Rohl and was he at fault for, or how much of the blame did he have to take for the Motherwell result? I've seen again. We seem to get this every few months when Rangers have a bad result. The fingers start getting pointed at the manager. And is he really the guy? Is he really the guy that's going to get Rangers back to where they want to be? Is there an argument to be made at all that if Rangers don't win the league, as it now looks unlikely, that they might consider a change of coach in the summer, or do they have to stick with him? For me, I mean, I'm only asking this because I've seen the topic sort of raised online quite a lot over the last few days. For me, I think they have to stick by him. I think Russell Martin it was clear that was a totally wrong appointment. It was the wrong call at the wrong time for the wrong team, for the wrong supporter base. And I think the Rangers board, the Americans, they could have done it, probably should have done it a month sooner, but I think they deserve credit for nipping it in the bud sooner rather than later. But I think in terms of Danny Rohl, again, this sort of rinse and repeat thing of just binning managers off, they have to break this cycle. So for me, even if they don't win the league this year, they have to stick by him. They have to. I mean, everyone I spoke to at Sheffield Wednesday said his first season was a sort of needs-must campaign, battle through it, and you can kind of see signs of that with this team. He's inherited a squad that was basically broken when he came in. He's had to do a wee bit of running repairs to it in January and just about dragged them to the finish line. Okay, looks like they might fall short now. But when he was at Sheffield Wednesday, once he got his own players in, once he got a pre-season, that's when you saw the real flourishes. And a few guys I spoke to said, they were 2 or 3 signings away from being playoff material. When you think about the chaos that was going on at Sheffield Wednesday at that time, the chaotic ownership they were working under at that point, for them to get anywhere near the playoffs was a minor miracle. So for me, I'm expecting a lot more for Danny Rohl's Rangers next season. So that's why I think they have to stick with him. But more importantly, I think they have to break that cycle of, hire and fire.
Aye, look, let's be clear. Danny Rohl will start the season as Rangers manager next year. There's no doubt about that, irrespective of what happens in this title race. What I would say is, if he finishes second in the league and it's pretty tight at the top, given the start they've had, if he was to finish second, of course Rangers fans would be disappointed, but I think they would go into next season with a real bit of optimism about Danny Rohl, about the squad. I think they would really get behind him for the off. Still need to do the business obviously, but I think he would get that kind of backing. I think if he finishes third in this title race, it does put a wee bit more pressure on him, and I think that's just natural when you're an old firm manager. Finishing outside the top 2 is not a good look, irrespective of the circumstances or what's happened at the start of the season under Russell Martin or whatever.
The start of the season, the 13-point things, I mean, I know he keeps raising that, but that's gone because
exactly
you were virtually level. At one point, you're top of the table. Okay, you played a game more than Hearts, but the 13-point thing is now mute. You got yourself there.
Exactly.
And there's a possibility you're going to blow it.
Yeah, and that's why third will be tough to take for a lot of the punters. So I think third basically means he's under a bit more pressure right for the start. And I said this other night, and it's the same for every Rangers manager, but so few have managed to kind of do it in recent times. But there are no excuses. Next season, Rangers have to start the season fast, hard and fast, and get off to a winning start. Sounds an obvious thing to say, but we've been covering Rangers for the last 5 years at least. And Michael Beale, remember Kilmarnock away, dropping points first day of the season. Clermont 0-0 at Tynecastle first day of the season. I think you could even go back to Van Bronckhorst.
Beat Livingston, but it was a really
horrible game. We were there, remember?
Yeah, Scott Arfield. It was one where Cholak basically touched the ball about twice in the first half.
Aye, was that a victory? Was that not a draw as well? No. Was that a win? Narrow win?
I can't remember. I think it was a win, but
anyway, they need.
I'll look up. You keep talking. I'll look it up.
They need to start. They need to start the season fast. I mean, as I say, there are no excuses. I do think. I agree. I think it will help Danny Rohl to get them away and get a proper pre-season. I think he will make
2-1. 2-1.
2-1.
Joe Robley put them up. Arfield and Tavernier. There you go.
Right, okay. I think Tav was a late winner. But I do think he'll make changes. We touched on the goalkeeper situation. That might be one of them in terms of getting them playing more for the back. I think the signings in January, I think we know Romans is a class act and it's just going to get better and better. Chukwani and Nadiri have still got a bit to prove, but again, I think they will be better for this initial spell in the Scottish Premiership and also getting a pre-season away with the manager and coming back. So I don't think there are any excuses next year. So to answer your question, of course, Danny Rohl will be the manager of Rangers at the start of next season. I agree that they need to get out of this habit, this cycle of sacking managers. He's shown that he's got a bit about him, still plenty to prove. But no, it's a non-negotiable getting off to a flying start at the start of next season. They have to put themselves in contention early on instead of this constantly chasing and trying to claw back points deficit. So that will be the big challenge for them. But as I say, they still have to finish this season strongly, because I do think if they finish third, by the way, especially if Celtic win the league, and it's worth noting that there's no getting away from how painful that will be for Rangers fans. No, you look at the Celtic.
If this Rangers team can't beat that Celtic team, then I think that makes, because there's no doubt. I mean, Rangers have been poor this season, but I think Celtic have been, well, undoubtedly it's been the weakest Celtic team in for a long time, and for Rangers not to be able to get ahead of them would really sting.
They've lost 8 games and they've changed their manager 3 times, and they've had widespread fan unrest against the board. So I mean, if that's not a poor season, I don't know what is, and yet Celtic might still end up with a double. So as you say, that for Rangers fans, that will be as painful, I think, as a lot of the league losses and the kind of banter.
He's one of these ones that will sting more. I mean, it's okay getting scalped, like a Brendan Rodgers versus sort of Pedro Caixinha team when you're getting beaten 4 and 5, and they hurt. But I mean, for Rangers fans to see their team lose to this Celtic team, I mean, that is, that will really sting, I think. So.
And by the way, Celtic have still got good players, but it's the turmoil that surrounded them this season.